Hi, my name is Mikkel, and I chose to do my presentation on the three parenting styles of Diana Baumrind. I think that's how you say her name. But this was really interesting to me because I'm recently married, and so growing up, I was obviously most familiar with my parents' parenting style. But as I got married and I instantly became familiarized with my mother-in-law's parenting style, and then I started noticing other people's and how my friends' moms parented, and it just kind of opened a whole world up to me of all of the crazy options for how to parent your child. And there really is no perfect parent, and there's no perfectly right or wrong way, but I thought that these three parenting styles that Diana Baumrind talks about within her theory, I felt like it kind of broadened the options for how to parent your child and kind of gives an idea of what is successful or has been successful in the past. Anyways, like I said, there's no perfect right or wrong, and each child is different, each parent is different, but I thought that these were pretty cool. So the first one is, well, one of the three. The first one that I want to talk about is permissive parenting. And this is obviously, each of them have good and bad, but to me, this one can be particularly dangerous just because then the child doesn't learn any boundaries. So a permissive parent doesn't try specifically to not control their child. So they don't want their child to feel like their lives are being controlled or that they're being forced to do anything, which I think to an extent is really great because children should be able to trust their parents. A downside that I saw growing up a lot was that children would just lie to their parents instead of being open with them when their parents were more strict. And so I think the permissive parenting does have that good side to it, that their children will probably never lie to them. However, they don't respond well to demands because the parent never demanded anything specifically of them. I'm sure they are asked to do things, but they weren't demanded. And so then they struggle with that. When they struggle with taking on responsibilities, with working well with others, just because they're used to not being told what to do. So I can see where that has its downfalls. The next one is authoritarian. And that's kind of the opposite of permissive. They're controlling their lives because they think that there's a standard that should be set, and that no matter what, that's the standard that should be met by their child. And this also has good and bad points. The good being that the child knows what the standard is. The bad being that no child is perfect, and they can deal with a lot of guilt, a lot of just self-shaming because they'll never live up to their parents' standards. And then the third one is authoritative, and that seems to be kind of a mix of the two. The parent does have set standards. Something that I really liked on this website that I visited was that it said that the parents are secure in their standards. So there's no need to force because they know that the standards are good. They know that this is what their child will probably eventually naturally learn, but they don't have to force it on them. Whereas the authoritarian values obedience as a virtue, and so then whether the value is inherently correct or incorrect, it's obedience that is the true value. So that kind of gives an idea. What I loved about the authoritative parent, though, is that they appreciate the child's input and their special qualities. And I have seen recently in someone that I just met that they were very permissive with their children growing up, and then a little too late realized that maybe their children didn't have as much respect for them, and then kind of turned into an authoritative for a little bit, and now is just a little bit too permissive, and her kids don't respect her. And I've just seen that happen. Whereas my parents, they were not perfect either, but they were a mix of the authoritarian and authoritative, and I knew that there were rules, and sometimes they were maybe a little bit harsh, and I've seen them change that with my siblings and lean more towards the authoritative, and it really is just how your children respond. But I thought that these three were very interesting. I wanted to give credit to the website that I got a lot of my information from. It was called developmentalpsychology.org. It was a really informative website and just really gave a great summary of those three. So yeah, that's my presentation on the three parenting styles.